my microphone wire keeps on hitting the microphone and causing like this big noise. Like you can't hear it, but it's like it's all up in there. It's all up in there. Welcome back, everyone, to the channel. Hope you're having a lovely day out there, in particular this long song Saturday that we're about to enjoy. Did I move my privacy cover all the way over? I think I did. Anyways, hope that you're having a wonderful day out there, a great weekend. Let's go ahead and listen to the full album we're going to do here from The Art of Noise. I've never heard anything from them. I don't know anything about them, but we're going to listen to their debut studio album, Who's Afraid of the Art of Noise. Hopefully no one, because we're about to journey into it. Released in 1984. Their record label, I noticed, is ZTT Records, which, if I remember correctly, I think that's the same record label that Propaganda is on. Don't quote me on that. I think I've just seen like that appear before. But anyways, this particular album has been suggested, recommended, given up to me by Damon Ramirez, Electro Harmonizer, Milan Stasny, Steve Jessen, and Ivan Oleg. Ivan Oleg? I'm going to go with Ivan Oleg. So thank you guys so much for the suggestion and for the recommendation. Like I said, I've never heard of the band, never heard of the group, don't know what they do, don't know who they are, but we're about to find out shortly. So thank you all so much for being here and, of course, joining me on this album listen. Of course, before we dive into it, press the like button. You can support what I do over on Patreon. You don't have to, but you can. And share the video, subscribe if you haven't. You know, all that fun stuff. But without further ado, because much ado there has been, let's go ahead and start off with the first track here, which is going to be A Time for Fear, Who's Afraid? A little toast to you guys. Here we go. Some good coffee.
Eternal glory to the Cubans who have died, and to those who have fought and that are still fighting to defend their honor, their principles, their internationalist work, their homeland, and their own personal integrity, threatened by the unjustified, brutal, and criminal imperialist attack.
Sounds like Abacab. Interesting opening. It's like a blown out bass drum.
Forces from neighboring Caribbean nations and the United States have arrived in Grenada to protect lives and restore order. Your cooperation will ensure that
It's an interesting opening, I'll tell you that. Little change, I like that. Little foghorn in there in the back. This is definitely interesting, I'll tell you that.
will we get such men?
Citizens of Grenada. Major forces
I'm starting to wrap my head around it a little bit. I'm starting to get it. It just took me a second.
to protect lives and restore order. Your cooperation will ensure that peace and democracy are restored in the near future. So what happens now?
Like every time that sample comes in, this comes forward. Like this is what's happening. Now the foghorn comes with some melody synth behind it. We're going to have to pause there. We're going to have to stop after the first track. Okay. Definitely not anywhere near what I was expecting, not anywhere near what I was thinking about this at all. This seems to be playing and flirting with a kind of electronic experimentation. And 1984, I mean, I would imagine that this was kind of at the forefront of, at the advent of the digital age and playing with electronics, Obviously, this was happening also in the 70s, but the 80s is where that really started to kind of come into forward. With the synth work and I'm imagining a drum machine and all these different things. The kind of blown out kick drum that the song is playing with, it's reminding me, and I know that this came first, but you know what I mean. It's reminding me of the Number song from DJ Shadow's Introducing, which would be a major album in sampling history later on, and still is a major album in sampling history, just incredible. But the sound reminded me of that. The foghorn sounds that would come in the second time when it came through, it had a little bit of a melodic synth underlaid upon it, which was interesting. And while it's abrasive, I think that there was a decent amount of melody to kind of keep you held. And this being the opening track, and the name of the album is Who's Afraid of the Art of Noise, the name of the band, Who's Afraid of Us. The name of the song, A Time for Fear. I feel like this isn't one of those albums that you're going to put on, let's pretend it's a pool, and you're going to wade in. They're not going to gently wade you into their world, into their music and their album. They are deep diving us, throwing us into the deep end in a cold water, freezing, and yes, at first it might be a little bit shocking. It might take us off. It might take us a little bit to get used to it, like me. But the water begins to warm, our body temperature begins to acclimate to the climate, and who knows where this album goes from here, but we'll see. It's also kind of reminding me a little bit of Burn and Eno's album, Bush of Ghost, which has a lot of electronic and sampling experimentation in it, which I really enjoy that album. So I'm curious to see if this kind of goes into that direction as well, or which direction it's going to go in the first place. By the way, almost 60% of the time that I'm here recording, I'm like cross-legged in my chair. So my feet aren't on the ground, so it just starts spinning. So if you see me begin to kind of turn around or whatever, like this, it's just gravity, inertia, and the world turning, doing its thing. Let's look at the lyrics, which are really, I'm assuming, just samples basically from different speeches, such as the beginning. Eternal glory to the Cubans who have died and to those who have fought and that are still fighting to honor, or let me bring up the lyrics here. Still fighting to defend their honor, their principles, their internationalist work, their homeland, and their own personal integrity, threatened by the unjustified, brutal, and criminal imperialistic attack, military forces of neighboring Caribbean nations, and the citizens of Grenada. Military forces from neighboring Caribbean nations and the United States have arrived in Grenada to protect lives and restore order. I don't know yet because I haven't clicked on that little annotation, but I'm assuming this is a speech regarding the Cuban Missile Crisis, perhaps. Your cooperation will ensure that peace and democracy are restored in the near future. So what happens now, Lord? Where do we get such men? And then it repeats it now. So what happens now? And I like how every time that sample of What Happens Now comes in, that's when the music stops and it gives us that new melodic line that fills in, and it kind of plays in the empty space before filling back in, that abrasive drum sound kind of playing more in the background rather than the foreground at this particular point. Let's click this though. There you go. Fidel Castro verbally attacks the U.S. for interfering in the domestic affairs of a sovereign neighbor in this one of many long speeches before a Q&A with the press. So there you go. That's where the sample's from. I forgot to mention. So I did see that Ann Dudley is here, along with Trevor Horn, by the way. And these other people here, J.J. Jeselnik, Gary Langan, and Paul Morley. Now, Ann Dudley's name looked familiar. She's worked in a lot of different soundtracks. If you scroll down here, film scores as well. Some you may know, some a lot I don't know. American History X, that's one I know. A lot of these are not looking familiar to me, to be honest. She apparently did the music for Les Mis, and session work you see ABC, Lex Kind of Love. There you go. Aha. Rick Astley, Cher. There's a lot of familiar names here. Elton John, Frankie Goes to Hollywood. We've listened to them. I mean, she's worked with a lot of people here, a lot of different people. Pulp. So very, very well known. Very, I'm assuming, well respected with all the awards and stuff. And is this kind of where she began? Like, is this the beginning of her musical career? I don't know. But you have all these people involved here. And it doesn't give me a list of like who's playing what. So I'm imagining most of this is probably sample work, electronic work, and a collaboration between all the members here. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next track here, which is going to be Beatbox Diversion 1. I like how it's not version 1, it's Diversion 1. Let's go ahead and get back to the music here. And give me a second to pull it back up. Here we go. Let's see where it goes. That's a cool bass line. Those 80s hits. Got that bar blues. That's cool. That's kind of psychedelic, that panning back and forth. Got a nice groove to it. The vocals are so fun. that your harp? Someone has to be live playing that. Little keyboard solo of sorts. This whole thing is just a playground for them to experiment in. Nice little record scratch in there. I like how they're playing with the sample of the ignition. That's a nice bass line. Nice little solo. That is fun. I do like that. I do like the vocals. Can't help it. Little drip drip. Interesting play on the rhythm there. That part's fun with that melody, that synth, the vocals, the drum beat when it quickens. Fade out. I like that fade in, that crossfade. Let me let it go into the next song, which is Snapshot, because it's only a minute long. Let's just let it kind of go into that one really quick. I love that piano at the end. I'm just curious to see how that kind of hits the next one really, really quick on that. Excuse me. Okay, I'm gonna let it hit the next song as well. All right. Beatbox at 8 minutes long. Is this the second longest track on the album? Yes. I feel like this album, like I said, gave us that cold water awakening. And Beatbox Diversion 1 is, we're still feeling that climate change. We're still trying to get used to it. And they are thriving in this experimentation. They are thriving in this particular space. Beatbox with the fun, beatboxing with the bop, 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 bop. Like the vocal sample is so fun how they're playing with that. I will say that that piano ending as it crossfaded out of that chaos into something extremely calm was mesmerizing, was a beautiful transition with just the left keeping that beat. And then even as it moved into Snapshot, I just wanted to hear it because it was just a minute long. Even as it moved into Snapshot, Snapshot was also a more mellow take on this experimentation that we've been having. Like, it still kept things very quiet. It kind of felt like there was an organ that was being played back there with the bum, bum, bum. Like, something that could have easily been put together with organ and piano, but they kind of opted for a little bit more experimentation in the keys. I don't know what synths they're playing with in there, but they're doing something still, right? So it feels like a nice little tail end to Diversion, which, once again, Beatbox is just this incredibly kind of messy and chaotic, but let's throw everything at the wall and have a little bit of fun with it. Keep that drum beat going, add in bits of melody to kind of, once again, keep the audience and listener engaged, so it's not just full on a clash. And let's just see what sticks. I really feel like this is an all or nothing kind of, so far, album, especially with Beatbox, when they're really throwing everything to the wall. And yes, there is a bit of a learning curve, if you will, I guess, to this, a listening curve, if you want to say. But I think that it's kind of rewarding. And for example, personally, I'm not like in love with the sound so far. I'll admit it. It's not like I'm loving what I'm listening to, but I'm very interested, and especially from a historical point of view, to me, this sounds like it was very forward thinking. Once again, not everything that's experimental or progressive will stick, but I might be speaking too far, putting the horse before the cart. Wait, doesn't the horse go before the cart? Putting the cart before the horse. But I feel like this has influence. It has some historical legs in what they're doing. I may not love what I'm hearing, but I appreciate it. That's kind of where I'm at as of right now. And there's no lyrics really that at least are pulled up here. It just says that's instrumental. Let's go ahead and move on into the next track here, which is going to be close to the edit. Actually, I forgot there's a whole Wikipedia article about Beatbox. I totally forgot it. Hold on, let me pull that up for us. All right, here we go. All right. It was released as... Oh, this was released as the band's first single? That's interesting. That's really interesting. Did this charted? We're talking about Beatbox, right? I am extremely surprised that this charted. experimental piece that implements sounds, car ignitions. I love how they played with the, like I said, the different sound effects. A sample of drums played by Alan White. As a single, the song reached the lower regions of the UK singles chart, peaking number 92. It was more popular with dance music, in particular hip-hop audiences. I can see that. The drums do sound very hip-hop. And it reached number 1 on the American dance chart and stayed there for 2 weeks. I do see here that there is a 2-minute, 55-minute version. I'm really surprised. I don't know why. I just can't imagine this hitting the charts like that. But that is fascinating to me. That's really awesome. After this, after they grew popular, they decided to expand on the tune, adding more instruments and sounds, which I guess 2 remix cuts resulted from that session, which are referred as Diversion 1 and Diversion 2. So we listen to Diversion 1 here. I guess the original unremixed version has been retroactively been dubbed Diversion 1. So we listen to the 12-inch remix. But when I have Spotify open, it gives me the 8-minute version. I didn't even know. I'm just following Spotify's track listing. So I didn't even know. Okay, so I didn't listen to the album version. I listened to the remix. I apologize. Is it going to be different? Like that different? Hold on, let me see if we can find it. Give me a moment here. Give me a moment. Let's see if we can. Art of Noise. See, sometimes you just got to do it live. Let me see. Beatbox Diversion 0. Let's see if that comes up. Diversion 0. So even as I pull it up, it's only giving me a 2-minute version, a 1-minute version, an 8-minute version, and a 6-minute version. So even still, I'm still not getting, I guess, the original album version. What if I do this on YouTube? What if we do a Beatbox Diversion 0? Let's do it that way, maybe? This one's 451. I just want to see, like, what's different. I'm not going to listen to the whole thing necessarily. Okay, I can hear. I can hear how it would chart. Okay, that helps explain it a little bit more to me. I can hear like what they cut out, just skipping around a little bit. All right, that makes a little bit more sense. That makes a little bit more sense now. Let's see, and yeah, here's a bunch of formats, track listings, and sorry. I didn't realize I was listening to a remix, but now it makes a little bit more sense. Okay, and like I said, moving into Snapshot was a really nice kind of flow into something softer, kind of keeping that same kind of flow, that same kind of angle downward. And we're moving on to the next track. Now we can move on to the next track, close to the edit. Let me make sure I got it pulled up back here. We'll go ahead and hit Snapshot again and just get the tail end of it right about here and let it go. We're getting it. We're getting it. There's that ignition again. They're playing around with that bluesy kind of sound. Those horn samples. This feels good. I like this ride. That is good. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk. I love those la la la's that. Yes.
Close to the edge. To the edge.
Now we're going. Now we're grooving. That feels right.
To be in England in the summertime with my love, close to the edge.
Is that a Yes reference? Because Trevor Horn's here. And Alan White. That is such a fun sound. There's your beatbox. Breakdown at the end. All right. Close to the edit has me. I'm going to take that whole pool analogy. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and it's going to perfectly explain what I'm feeling listening to this album. Here we go, okay? Stick with me. Here we go. The first side of this album, me listening to this album for the first time, is like being invited to a pool party with a bunch of people that I don't really know. Like, I know one person and that's who invited me, but I get there, I'm kind of like shy, a little bit of anxiety. I'm like, I don't really know anyone, but I'm going to this very social event. And I walk in, there's a ton of people I don't know. The person I do know, they welcome me, they show me where the food is, invite me into their home. They're like, make yourself at home and everything. So I kind of go to the corner, I grab a red Solo cup full of punch. I chew on some chips. I'm like, let me get in the pool, but I'm kind of feeling uncomfortable because I don't really know anyone, right? That's where I am with the first track. I get into the pool. It's cold. Shocking, matter of fact. That's where I am with beatbox. Snapshot is the midpoint of my body acclimating into the water and feeling the temperature. However, close to the edit is when, I don't know, when someone throws an inflatable tortoise into the pool and they're like cannonball, and I don't know, somehow you make a friend and all of a sudden you feel comfortable, but not only are you feeling comfortable, you're starting to have a good time. Like, I don't know, I don't know what you do at a pool party. Like, but you know what I mean? The point is, now, with Close to the Edit, now that I'm acclimating to their sound, with Close to the Edit, I'm enjoying it. I like this a lot. The Ignition sample returns, which I think adds a nice continuity to the song, a nice connective tissue to the album as a whole. I like, once again, those vocal samples that arise. That kind of bluesy, that's kind of skittering and scattering about, is a fun little melodic lead as well. The drums are fun in here. The percussion that's added, those little, I don't want to necessarily say orchestral or symphonic flavors, but at the same time, those notes that kind of rise in that same kind of ambience that give a little bit of this epic rise to the music are fun little flares before it dives back into its little. This is a really fun track. It's basically what I'm trying to say in not too many words. It's a really fun track to listen to, and I have to imagine with Horn and White on this album, the whole Close to the Edge thing. Come on, it would have been maybe it'd have been a bit too on the nose if they had a sample of John singing Close to the Edge sampled in there, but you know, what are you gonna do? Let's go ahead and look at the lyrics, which there's not really much here. Close to the edge. To be in England in the summertime with my love, close to the edge. And then it's just kind of repeated through there. However, once again, this one charted as well. The single reached number 8 in the UK singles chart. This one I can totally understand. I understand now with beatbox, but this one, I really get it. It says the song Spoken Word Hey has been sampled by another number of artists throughout the years. It says the first release of a version was as a nominal remix of Beatbox under the title Beatbox Dive version 2. Then it was re-edited, partly remixed with different effects applied to become the version which appeared on the album. Paul Morley's sleeve notes for the single simplify the relationship between Diversion 2 and Close, noting that only 20 seconds were snipped out. Here you go, the song's title takes its title from Close to the Edge by Yes, and also samples Leave It and Owner of By a Lonely Heart. Is that with the horns? Is that the... It has to be the horns. With Leave It, I'm not sure what was sampled in there. Will it say if I click on the article? If we give a little Control F art of? No, nothing. So it doesn't tell me what's there. I missed that part, I will say. The single heavily features a recorded sample of a car, a Volkswagen Golf, owned by a neighbor of the band, of band member Jexelik, stalling and restarting. Now, how do you hear a car stalling and restarting and say, you know what? I'm going to use that. Like, what inspires you? And then the vocal sample of Beer Barrel Polka as performed by the Andrews Sisters. That was those harmonies, those old-timey harmonies that were coming through in there. Which, like I said, like there's a lot of great sample choices that are being brought into this track that I think make it stellar. It says the short spoken word intro or vocal in the Hey sample used in a number of songs, most notably Firestarter by The Prodigy and Back in the Day by Christina Aguilera, was the voice of Camilla Pilkington Smith. Jexelik's girlfriend at the time taught at a girls' school in Ascot and brought her, one of her pupils, to his attention. The sample of her voice was recorded in a chapel using a tape recorder. What a really, really awesome track this was. I like this one a lot. This so far is my favorite track on the album. I don't want to say best, but it's my favorite track on the album so far. But in going through this journey, I'm definitely beginning to understand this a lot more and kind of get it. Like I said, I was acclimating myself to it, but now I'm kind of beginning to enjoy this a little bit. So let's go ahead and move on into the second side of the album, which is going to be starting off with Who's Afraid of the Art of Noise. So got the title track here. And then also I forgot to mention that in looking at, let me bring it back up here real quick. In looking at the different sides of the album, side 1 is called A Time to Hear, and then side 2 is Who's Listening. So this is kind of an interesting kind of subtitles between the two sides of the album, maybe giving it a little bit of a theme, a thematic nature to it. All right, let's go ahead and pop into the next track here. Who's Afraid of the Art of Noise? Here we go. Kind of a very industrial background. With that vocal sample.
Something.
Okay. So in being reintroduced into the second side of the album, starting off with the title track here, going back to the pool party analogy, you're in the pool, you were having a good time, and then you start feeling a little woozy, a little dizzy. You start shifting in the water. Things just aren't right. And before you know it, you realize that punch that you drank out of that red Solo cup spiked quite hard. And you're feeling it. And not in a great way. This is the essence. This is the essence of a track which I can appreciate all the technique that is going into it. The sampling, the production, the experimentation, how abstract this is, how they take a sample, stretch it, bend it, pitch it, ditch it. They are doing so much work within this that it becomes this very artfully expressive piece of music and art. I can 100% appreciate that and be fascinated in a way by how they came up with it and how they constructed it. But I do not like it in a pleasurable music listening kind of way. I don't like it. I don't even want to like I just don't like it. Once again, I think the samples are kind of cool, what they do in there. But I also feel like it doesn't go anywhere. It kind of stays at a certain place, and I don't really particularly care for that place. So, yeah, it's a no-go for me. I did think the kind of industrial feel that kind of started in the beginning was kind of interesting. It sounded like with a lot of the background noises, like there was like a saw almost or something like it, or cutting metal. It sounded like things were being scraped in the back. So it had this kind of factory industrial take that I thought was kind of interesting in the beginning, but it didn't really go anywhere that I was quite interested in going. So I was kind of like, it's not quite for me. Someone's cutting the grass. All right, let's move on. Let's move on into the next track, which is going to be Moments in Love, which is the longest track here on the album. Let me go ahead and pull it up, and we will go ahead and go into it. Here we go. Is it playing? Hold on, let me go back. There we go. I know this song. I know this song. This song is from The Art of Noise. I know this one. I love this. Dude. I heard this somewhat like when I was young. I had no idea that this was from them. That is awesome. I just remember that melody. That is so nostalgic to me. I can already tell you this is going to be my favorite. That is so crazy. That is awesome. I'm surprised. This is the centerpiece. This is the hill. That sampled the vocals. Those big hits kind of accenting the everything hitting on those accents. That is crazy. That is wonderful. This I don't remember. It's probably a radio edit. I've never heard this part, but what a magnificent change. Bringing the harp in and circle it all back around. Man, you can't do better. That's a pleasant surprise. I was not. I was not expecting that at all. Okay, so first things first, I've heard that song, or at least an edited version of that song, at some point in like my young life, like before 10 years old or somewhere in that range. I've heard that. I have totally forgotten that melody. Didn't even remember that. But oh man, when it started, just this big wave of nostalgia just washed over me. I didn't know that I forgot that song, but I found what I didn't know I had forgotten, and I am better for it. That is automatically my favorite track on the album. I can't speak for where it goes from here, but that is amazing to me. Where do you even begin? I didn't I didn't mean to get like emotional, but like I mention it occasionally when I find a track like this, whether I know it in some capacity or not. This one I didn't know I knew, but I knew. This reminds me of being a kid and my parents driving me, I don't know, somewhere. Like, it's the 90s, it's nighttime, you have your Game Boy in your hand trying to play whatever you're playing under the streetlights when it's passing, or you're looking out the window and you're doing that game where you're pretending there's someone like trying to chase, not like running through the forest or whatever the road is and everything, or you're watching the raindrops on the window like merge into each other and you're playing a game, which drop is going to hit quicker, where are they going to hit and stuff. Like, it's just extremely nostalgic. And especially with my dad's recent passing, like, this just brings back memories and such that I didn't quite know I had. I think that this is incredible. Like, for me, this goes beyond even the track. This is just extreme nostalgia for me. I know that there's a Wikipedia article for this track, so I know that it's, popular in some capacity. I don't even know what radio station my parents were playing to play this, but that is incredible. I'm curious. I don't know if you guys know, but like on YouTube and such, there's like a plethora, some would say, a big trend of like nostalgia-based music and, walking alone in an empty mall while 90s music is playing and things like that. And I love that so much. I can almost guarantee you. Moments in Love. Art of Noise. There's a slowed version. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. I bet you there's nostalgic versions of this and such. Ah, yes, I could have pulled it up, huh? Like, here's the music video. Even after 36 years, sounds futuristic. Congratulations, you finally found this song. Guys, I cannot make this up. 10 years old in 1985, lying down in the backseat of my parents' car while my pops drove. The highway lights was bright yellow fluorescence. Each light whipped along by the beat. That, like, shared memory. That is incredible. I'm not even talking about the song. I'm just riding on this big nostalgic wave, and everyone having some memory and such associated with it. I think that is just incredible. That's awesome. Let's talk about the song, right? So, I mean, the lyrics, it's just moments of love, repeated and over. That main melody is, to me, just this incredibly beautiful thing. That breath, that right? It's very breathy. It's mystical. The way that the synth warmly wraps its way around that is, to me, just like so comforting. The stuff that I haven't heard, okay, the drum is really nice in there, great kick, great bass behind it. The part that I haven't heard, though, is that break, which is kind of interesting. It kind of takes things into this empty, hollow kind of feeling before snapping it back into this warm, comforting pool that I was listening to, which I thought was really interesting. But it didn't take away from the track. It didn't take away from this particular ambience and the feeling in here. That is awesome. Let's look at this. So it was released as the third single from this album. Top 10 hit in the Netherlands. Let's see. Featuring classically trained Anne Dudley on the vocals here. It is praised as a masterwork. Yes, it is. An elegant new age ode to romance embellished with fleet-footed strings and an echoing vocal sample. They wrote it better than I could. According to Trevor Horn, rapper Rakim told him that his favorite song of Horn's was Moments in Love. Rakim is a great rapper as well. Been sampled by many, many, many others. In 2023, the song peaked at number 16 for 2 weeks on the TikTok Billboard Top 50. You know, I know that TikTok gets a lot of hate, sometimes worthy and sometimes not. But it does a great job of bringing music back. And, you know, I mean, you guys understand, you know, a reaction channel. And, you know, this music obviously isn't quite out of my realm. But a lot of the music that we listen to on the channel is out of my realm. And it was music that I did not grow up with or, you know, would have no chance of hearing unless, you know, I was directed to it in some capacity. And sometimes that's how it is. Sometimes that's, you know, that's how people find new music and such and go on their own little musical journey, as all of us have here. That is incredible. That's a great, great track. I'm hoping the rest of this album lives up to that. But that is incredible. So the next 3 tracks are under 3 minutes. The next one being 2 minutes and 14 seconds. So I'm going to take the next track on its own, probably. And then I'll probably take the last 2 together. Maybe. We'll kind of see how it goes. We'll see how they kind of fit and flow. But let's move on into the next track here, which is Memento. Let's go. That's incredible. So we might let this just go into the next track then, since this seems to be more of an ambience kind of transition. That is deep. Is that organ? Arrived to church just in time. I like this as a transition piece from the great atmosphere of Moments. This is, we'll see how it goes, into How to Kill. That's a different title. Let's find out. Sounds like a old Nintendo character getting hit. Interesting.
First note.
It stopped.
It stopped. It stopped. It stopped. It stopped. It stopped.
Someone is taking a long nap.
It stopped. It stopped. It stopped. It stopped. It stopped. It stopped.
I'm probably going to let this move on into the next track as well. Just finish it out.
It stopped. It stopped. It stopped.
Interesting how the notes from that snoring is kind of matching now with this organ in the back, or that synth. We're going to let it lead into the final track, Realization, because those were two kind of ambient tracks. Let's see how it finishes out. There you go. This sound really is giving me that Eno grind or burn kind of sound. It's that harp zithering back in two again. Who's afraid of the art of noise? Not you, not I, nor any of us. Finish the album. And I'm really curious as to what you guys thought of the final three tracks. I was going to separate them, like I said, but it just seemed to go into each other with how atmospheric that they were. I actually really thought that From Moments of Love into the ending of this album was kind of a perfect come down. It was the perfect coming down from everything that had built up before. So if you will, I guess you could say that the title track is probably the hill, I guess. Well, I can say close to the edit, and then, you know, the title track are probably the hill. And then from that, it's kind of gently letting us down. And I think the pacing on the back half of this was absolutely excellent. I personally like more of that kind of mellow, atmospheric experimentation rather than the bold, the brash, and the abstract that we were given before. Although Close to the Edit, I think, is really awesome. I just personally vibe more with this particular space. And I think that they did a fantastic job of creating a scene, creating a story. For example, with Memento, you know, the footsteps echoing through stony streets, eventually, you know, walking into what I can only imagine is a cathedral or a church of some sort, and the organ welcoming us in. I mean, like, you walk straight into a service, and I love how big it sounds. There's this grandiose nature to it that just really sends you soaring. And I think that they captured that so wonderfully in audible form. Moving into How to Kill, kept that ambience, kind of gave us some more of those weird sounds, which, like I said, sounded like arcade characters getting hit. Like, you know, when you're playing Mario or, I don't know, one of the games, like, and the character gets hit by an enemy, they go, ow, or oh, like, it's one of those kind of sounds, right? And I think that even that kind of worked in the song, you know, How to Kill. It just reminded me of killing Mario. And but still, once again, keeping a sort of ambience to everything, a certain movement still. And then Realization brought back the drums, brought back the beats, gave us a rhythm to move on. But the feeling of ambience was kind of, what's the word? The ambience was kind of grown, and it evolved into something, I guess you could say, of realization, of you're clicking. You know, when an idea just clicks or something just clicks. And there's that feeling of ecstasy. There's that feeling of, oh, I get it. And maybe, with the album, in a sense, what they're saying, you know, Who's Afraid of the Art of Noise? This is their debut album. They scared us. They shocked us. They gave us something that perhaps we haven't heard at this point in 1986. What did I say? 4? Like, I feel like that's what they're shocking us. But in listening to the album, they're saying, okay, we get it. We kind of threw you in the deep end of the pool. We invited you to this party, yet you didn't know anyone and, you know, everything. Let me gently kind of bring you down at the conclusion of this album. And I think that it's fantastic. I really strongly feel that the second side is stronger to me personally. But I do like how the first side, and looking at the titles, let me bring it back up so you guys can see what I'm looking at too. You know, and looking at side 1, A Time to Hear, this is them announcing, this is them coming forth saying, we are here. This is our music. This is a time to hear. And then on the back end, who's listening? A time for reflection, a time for the audience and the band, in a sense, to look back and review and like kind of sit down and meditate in a certain way. And I just really like the dynamic that the band brought into these two sides, while still making it flow very, very nice with what I can tell is, at least, like I said, thematically, or at least a loose concept in certain ways as well. Obviously, there's some more information here. Usually when I see like the critical reception part, I don't usually read that because I'm not really, usually, sometimes I am, but I'm not usually overly interested in like what other reviewers say about it and stuff like that. I just want to toss out my first thoughts, but I do see that, you know, techno pop classic, popularity of the Fairlight CMI, was popular in 1984. Gave it 4 stars and said it was as subtly influential as Kraftwerk's Trans Europe Express. I hear it. Blend of experimental rock, a new wave, brash, innovative, at times irksome, but always groundbreaking. That's a great way to kind of round it out. In case you couldn't tell, my favorite track is Moments in Love. I think that should be relatively obvious. And then I think after that, maybe close to the edit, but I just really like the way that the album ends on those last 4 tracks. I think that is just really, really well done. So thank you so much for being here, for listening. Let me roll the Patreon thing. I really appreciate you guys sticking around and watching for the last, where's the timer? 1 hour and 16 minutes. You sliced a portion out of your day for me. You sliced a piece of the pie, and I appreciate it. Hope it was tasty. Hope that you enjoyed the music. Thank you so much for the recommendation. Thank you for being here. You know, I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the journey with me, whether we're listening to a single track somewhere on a different day or taking the time out on a Long Song Saturday to dive into a particular work. I really thank you guys just for being here. And, you know, if you're new here and you watch to this point, introduce yourself, say hi in the comments. Typically I'll jump in there, you know, at a certain point. So, and if you know you're not new in the comments, say hi anyway. Just say hi. That's the video, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Like I said before, you can support what I do on the channel on Patreon for as little as $2 a month. You don't have to, but it helps me. You like the video, please, before you leave. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share the video. All those things. That's it, guys. I'm going to roll the credits. Have a great day, and I will see you all later. Bye.